This report details a deeply disturbing incident that occurred in a Miami high-rise, resulting in the death of a young man. The event has sent shockwaves through the community, raising serious questions about safety and security in urban living spaces. The victim was 17-year-old Dominic Ferrell, a student with his life ahead of him. The assailant has been identified as 26-year-old Kyrill Kehl. This was not a crime of acquaintance or conflict. The assailant was a complete stranger to the victim. The nature of the crime, a fatal stabbing, is inherently shocking. Adding another layer of tragedy to this event, the assailant, Kyrill Kehl, died later from a fall. This outcome complicates the investigation and leaves many unanswered questions about his motives and state of mind. The incident highlights vulnerabilities that many believed were protected by the perceived security of high-rise living. It forces a reevaluation of safety protocols and community awareness. A loss of a young life under such violent and unexpected circumstances is a profound tragedy for his family, friends, and the wider community. Understanding the details is crucial for preventing future incidents. Please like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. The victim of this senseless act was Dominic Ferrell. He was just 17 years old at the time of his death. Dominic was a student attending St. Peter and Paul Catholic School. His life was tragically cut short before he had the chance to fully experience adulthood. The attack occurred inside his own home, a place where he should have felt safest. His apartment was located within a Miami high-rise building. Specifically, the apartment was on the 34th floor of the Icon Brickell building. This detail underscores the perceived security of living high above street level. The most harrowing detail is that Dominic was asleep when the attack took place. He was in his bed, vulnerable and unaware of the danger that had entered his private space. His death represents a devastating loss for his school community, his family, and everyone who knew him. The violation of his home and his life while he slept is particularly disturbing. His story is a stark reminder of how quickly safety can be compromised, even in environments believed to be secure. The focus now turns to understanding how such a breach could occur. The individual identified as the assailant was Kyrill Kehl. He was 26 years old. Crucially, Kyrill Kehl was a stranger to Dominic Ferrell. There was no prior relationship or connection between the two individuals. Reports indicate that Kehl had recently arrived in Miami. He had traveled from Arizona shortly before the incident. Information has also emerged regarding Kehl's background. He reportedly had a documented history of mental illness. This detail is significant and raises complex questions. It is important to approach this aspect with sensitivity and avoid generalizations, but it is a reported fact of the case. His history, combined with the nature of the crime against a stranger, suggests potential underlying issues. However, the specific motivations remain unclear. The fact that the assailant was a stranger adds to the fear and randomness of the crime. It suggests a lack of specific targeting, making the incident even more unsettling for the wider public. The core event was a fatal stabbing. This violent act resulted directly in Dominic Ferrell's death. The crime took place inside the victim's apartment. This was not an external confrontation, but an invasion of a private residence. The timing of the attack is particularly chilling. It occurred while Dominic Ferrell was sleeping. He was attacked in his own bed, a place universally associated with safety and rest. This detail underscores the extreme vulnerability of the victim. The violence was sudden, unexpected, and occurred in the most intimate of spaces. It represents a profound violation of personal security and peace. The incident itself was brief but devastating. Its consequences are far-reaching, impacting not only the victim's family, but also the residents of the building and the broader community. Understanding how the assailant gained access is critical to analyzing the security failures that contributed to this tragedy. The focus shifts to the layers of protection that were bypassed. The building involved is the Icon Brickell high-rise. This is a large, modern residential tower known for its amenities and perceived security. The assailant, Kyrill Kehl, gained unauthorized access to the building. He was not a resident, a guest, or authorized personnel. He managed to bypass the building's security measures. High-rise buildings typically employ multiple layers of security designed to prevent unauthorized entry. The specific technique used to bypass security has been reported. Kehl reportedly followed residents inside the building. This method exploits a common vulnerability in secure buildings. It relies on the kindness or inattention of residents entering or exiting. The building requires key fob access for entry. This is a standard security feature designed to restrict access to authorized individuals. Kehl circumvented this key fob requirement by tailgating behind a resident. This highlights the importance of residents being vigilant about who enters the building behind them. After gaining entry to the building, the assailant then entered the victim's apartment. This represents a second distinct security breach. The method of apartment entry was through an unlocked door. This detail is crucial and tragic. While building security is the first line of defense, individual apartment security is the last. An unlocked door provided the final point of access for the assailant. This sequence of events reveals multiple points of failure. The initial breach of the building's perimeter security was compounded by the unlocked apartment door. It raises questions about the effectiveness of the building's security protocols and enforcement. It also highlights the importance of residents maintaining their own personal security measures, such as locking doors. The fact that a stranger could gain access to a high-rise building and then enter an apartment on the 34th floor is deeply concerning. It challenges the assumption that height and controlled access automatically equate to safety. Building security systems, including key fobs and surveillance, are designed to deter and prevent unauthorized entry. When these systems are bypassed, the safety of all residents is potentially compromised. The method of following residents inside is a known security vulnerability. It requires both robust physical barriers and a culture of security awareness among residents. Residents are often encouraged not to let unknown individuals follow them into secure areas. This incident tragically underscores the importance of that advice. The unlocked apartment door provided the final opportunity for the assailant to reach the victim. While the initial breach was external, the final point of entry was internal. This combination of external security bypass and internal vulnerability proved fatal. It suggests that security is a shared responsibility between building management and residents. Analyzing this access method is vital for building security professionals. It requires reviewing entry points, monitoring systems, and potentially enhancing security personnel presence or protocols. For residents, it serves as a stark reminder of the need for vigilance. Simple actions like ensuring doors are locked can be critical. The incident prompts questions about how long the assailant was in the building before entering the apartment. Was he wandering the halls? Was he specifically targeting a floor or apartment? These details are part of the ongoing investigation. However, the fundamental fact remains: a stranger gained access to a secure building and a private residence. The failure points in security, both at the building level and the apartment level, allowed this tragedy to occur. Addressing these vulnerabilities is paramount for preventing similar incidents in the future. The security analysis must consider not just the technology in place, but also the human element. How were residents entering? Was their security staff monitoring the lobby? The incident highlights the potential consequences when security protocols are not strictly followed or when vulnerabilities are exploited. It is a wake-up call for high-rise residents and building management everywhere. The ease with which the assailant reportedly gained access is particularly alarming. It suggests that the layers of security were either insufficient or improperly utilized. This section of the incident is perhaps the most critical for security analysis and crime prevention efforts. Understanding the how of the access is key to implementing effective countermeasures. It underscores the need for continuous review and improvement of security measures in residential buildings. The safety of residents depends on the integrity of these systems and the awareness of the community. The tragic outcome emphasizes that security is not just about technology. It's also about behavior, vigilance, and the enforcement of protocols. The unlocked door serves as a final, heartbreaking detail in this chain of events. The tragic discovery was made by the victim's roommate. This individual found Dominic Ferrell after the attack. The roommate immediately contacted emergency services upon discovering the situation. This prompt action initiated the official response to the crime. The arrival of emergency personnel including law enforcement and paramedics, marked the beginning of the investigation and the attempt to provide aid. Sadly for Dominic, it was too late. The discovery by a roommate adds another layer of trauma to the incident. This individual was faced with a horrific scene in their own home. The initial response involved securing the scene and beginning the process of gathering evidence. Law enforcement began the task of identifying the assailant and understanding the circumstances. The roommate's role in the discovery was critical in bringing the crime to light. Their immediate call ensured that authorities were alerted without delay. This phase of the event transitions from the crime itself to the official response and the start of the investigation. It also marks the moment the wider community began to learn of the tragedy. The grief and shock experienced by the roommate upon discovery are unimaginable. Their actions in contacting emergency services were vital. The initial response by law enforcement and emergency services is a standard procedure in such cases. Their focus is on securing the area, assessing the situation, and beginning the investigative process. This incident, from the breach of security to the tragic discovery, highlights the devastating consequences of such a violent act. It leaves a community grappling with fear, grief, and questions about safety. The investigation into the full details of Kyrill Kehl's actions, his state of mind, and the precise timeline of events continues. However, the core facts of the security breach and the fatal outcome are clear. The community response has included expressions of grief and concern. Residents of the building and the wider Miami area are understandably shaken by the randomness and violence of the crime. Mental health advocates have noted the reported history of the assailant. This aspect of the case underscores the broader societal challenges related to mental illness and access to care. For parents and students, the incident is particularly frightening. It strikes close to home, involving a young victim in a seemingly secure environment. Law enforcement and building security professionals are analyzing the event to identify lessons learned. The goal is to prevent similar tragedies from occurring in the future. Grief counseling and support are necessary for those directly affected, including the victim's family, friends, and the roommate who made the discovery. The trauma of this event is significant. The story has garnered significant attention, becoming a subject of widespread discussion. Its potential to go viral reflects the public's concern about safety and the shocking nature of the crime. In conclusion, the fatal stabbing of Dominic Ferrell in his Miami high-rise apartment by a stranger who bypassed security is a tragic and complex event. It raises critical questions about urban security, mental health, and community safety. The focus remains on understanding the full scope of what happened and working towards preventing such devastating incidents in the future.